Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we have a 1v1 on Acidus Crack, and our combatitors today is Mr. Autopilot Vs Ubivator in red, going Armada in a very interesting start position up on this hill, meaning he only has 2 metal, but his base is going to be a lot more defendable. As opposed to Mr. Autopilot in blue today, also going Armada bots. So, going back, zooming on out at least, rather, to begin with, we can see this map is primarily designed around a 4v4/5v5 kind of game. But we are seeing this map played quite a lot in 1v1s. 1v1 players tend to like it quite a bit. It's a very metal heavy map, being that it's made for 4v4s. You've got a start position there, 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 and there. Basically all sides around the middle hill. And then the middle hill could either be potentially a, air start off of just 2 metal points, or just like a bit of extra additional metal you get later on. Now we can see Autopilot has spawned pretty much the furthest forward spawn that he can get. This is going to enable him to defend those bat mexes a bit easier, whilst also having his production as far forward as possible. Whereas Ubivator has made a bit of an interesting choice here. He's built this up here, which, if his opponent goes vehicles are not going to be able to make up this ramp. Now, we know that that is not the case. But it also means Ubivator is in a bit of a tough spot here when it comes to actual expansion. We do actually see here that Ubivator manages to trade a tick for a construction bot. That's a lot of damage in the early game here. And more harass here as another metal extractor gets killed. Autopilot taking some very heavy losses in this early game. That is going to mean that his expansion is going to be drastically slowed. As we zoom on out a little bit, we can see that his plan with his first construction bot was to go over here, build some LLTs to defend this flank so that he could expand here and expand backwards. And with the second one, he was probably going to do the same. LLT, LLT to cover the sides, build this, and then be able to build the back bit and above. But because of losing that construction bot so early on, he is now falling behind, and he also loses a res bot. That's a lot of damage to lose in this early stage. A res bot, for those who aren't aware, is this Lazarus bot here. It is very close to the same amount of metal as a construction bot, and the exact same amount of, the same amount of metal, but almost the same amount of energy. And that is not good for Autopilot, being, in essence, 2 construction bots behind with the res bot and that construction bot. And that's definitely going to put his expansion behind. We can see on the mini-map here, Autopilot already expanded to this little frontline position and below. He's not invested anything into LLTs at all, just purely going on the offensive here, trying to contain Autopilot. And again, Autopilot losing another res bot. This is very, very bad start from Autopilot. The early game tick harass here of Ubivator is amazing, and it looks like Autopilot again losing his only other construction bot. Ooh, that was close. If Ubivator was paying attention there, he definitely would have got that construction bot. Only 40%, well, 40 health left. 8% health total, and that's a lot of damage to be inflicted, and he almost died. These ticks trying to get over the hill here, maybe trying to snipe that guy off, but Ubivator spending a bit of time with his economy at home, kind of focusing on that. He is definitely really far ahead when we look at the stats here. Metal income 112% advantage, energy 33%, Build power, kind of because of the res bots here, that is slightly skewed. But everything is looking red, so that is very much in Ubivator's favor right now. And finally, Autopilot has, you know, got these units back up. Now, what some people have different mindsets when it comes to expansion with the commander, and this is something that if Autopilot had done, you know, he would have been able to defend it. And as we see now, he may be able to lose that constructor again. Yep, and there we go. Great micro by Ubivator there. But this is the point. If you expand with your commander, a commander would have been able to build this very early on and had no problems at all. But because he sent engineers out instead and used the significant advantage build power of the commander to push out units, it's meant that he's had to send lone construction bots. Now, maybe he could have built some pawns instead that might have done better at defending the construction bots, but he's able to get out more units with the sheer volume of ticks. And some harass being done now to Ubivator, but unfortunately not really enough to warrant any form of worry. And again, another construction bot about to get taken out. And Ubivator is just all over Autopilot so far. He is just not able to deal with such a large volume of harass, like in every single angle. And the game is very much in Ubivator's favor right now. Although, saying that, with all of this time he's had, he hasn't really capitalized on it too much. Like, he's obviously, he lost this, but he's still only in his starting area, right? But he's been harassing him for, you know, 7 minutes so far. And yet he's not really expanded too much. You can see a little bit of expansion going on here, but not as much as I was expecting, to be honest. I expected him to kind of make more of a play for land. Both players, see, deciding to keep their commander with the build power in base. Which is an interesting choice. The meta, shall we say, beforehand was, you know, you expand with your commander. You push your commander in a line towards the opponent's base. You build metal extractors, you build LLTs, and that builds, like, strong points in front of you. But that is, like, slowly changing. I've noticed more players now keeping their commander in base. Autopilot about to kill a construction bot there of Ubivator. Manages to get one. Oh, the sneaky tick. Manages to get the metal extractor again. And Autopilot just having a lot of issues with base defense today. Autopilot trying to sneak out of this construction bot there, but that won't happen. But he will get this one that's out on his own. Some base attacking though taking place. Good group of pawns. Now, as we had happened before, in another match we watched recently, need to be careful that you don't basically just start donating metal to your opponent. Ubivator in a very strong position here, economy-wise, and basically everything-wise. Like, all the stats are very much on his favor. But you're leaving wrecks in your opponent's base, which is, you know, 4, 5 pawns at least. And it's going to start adding up if you're not careful. And it's all the whether Ubivator's going to, you know, start building more expensive units. And we do actually see the Ubivator here has a very large amount of metal. And I'd be interested to see if we're going to see him transition over to Tech 2. At the moment, he doesn't have the build power to use the metal. He also doesn't have the energy to use all of his metal. Mostly because you can see he's building, he was building a construction turret, energy storage. He's got some advanced solars queued up, but still, all that while, harassing the flanks of Autopilot, just causing him distress. And we're about to see this radar go up. At the moment, he doesn't see all this stuff. There's a huge group of units there, and the radar goes down instantly. Autopilot desperately scrambling for units right now. This is quite a substantial group of grunts. 12 grunts and sorry, not grunts, or armada. 12 pawns and 7 ticks. That construction bot going to get caught out. I've lost count at how many construction bots so far Autopilot has lost. Needless to say, those res bots are definitely paying their weight here. I don't think Ubivator is going to manage to get that. No. We can just see that the economy-wise difference. Look, you can see there how much he's got left floating as opposed to Ubivator is got almost full metal right now. And he's not really spending it at all. He's actually transitioned over to Centurions, which will be very effective against, you know, pawns and ticks, but they are significantly slower. And we actually also see Ubivator moving out with his commander, actually starting to expand with his commander for a change. I am surprised with the amount of metal he's got that we aren't seeing some form of transition to Tech 2. I know he's short on energy, but that is a lot of metal to be kind of just sitting on. Now this could be potentially dangerous for Ubivator's comm. That is a big group of pawns. No LLTs built. Ubivator is aware of this and he actually decides to cloak his commander instead of go for a D-gun. Oh. Comm actually gets detected. D-gun only gets a single pawn though. And even with the early advantages that Ubivator had, we can kind of see the map is still kind of drawn down the middle here. Well, I guess more like that. But we'll see what happens here. You can see Ubivator starting to amass a bit of an army of maces here. Both players actually deciding to go over to aircraft. We see Autopilot amassing some Banshees. I would expect maybe bombers coming from Ubivator though. He knows the base is quite clumped here and a bombing run across like that would do a significant amount of damage. Also, another thing of note is he knows where the commander is. And if he knows where the commander is, he may be hoping to go for a bit of a commander snipe with gunships. Both players actually building gunships as well. Now, here come the air of Autopilot. Instantly, Ubivator has now just got the notification of enemy air spotted. And we can see him instantly building air defenses. Fighters also coming out straight away. And that is making very, very short work of these gunships. And unfortunately, not really able to accomplish anything with those gunships. They got a single metal extractor. And I guess... Nope, that's blue stuff. So yes, all those gunships got one metal extractor. I don't know, you tell me, I've got a gunship's worth? Do you still think gunships are really, really good? Or would you rather have bombers? I mean, we can see these two gunships along the top here doing a significant more amount of damage. But that is because Ubivator has control of the air. We see a transition over to vehicles here from Autopilot. Ubivator doing a great job at containing Autopilot. Centurions making really, really short work of the pawns that were left alive. And what can Autopilot do about this? I mean, realistically, he needs his comm out there. He needs to be preparing to degun some stuff. Janis's will try and hit things at long range, but they've got a very long reload time and not really going to do that much. They need something fielding in front of them to kind of stay alive, but tanks actually making a little bit of a difference here. A group up as well of units is not going to be good for Ubivator as this Janis rocket comes in. Also a push on this left side as well, or the north side of the crack, is going to apply more pressure here to Autopilot. Not only that, but we see pawns on the very, very north here starting to push in. Autopilot, though, able to claim about 2k in metal reclaim there. A bit dangerous, though, as two Centurions push up. D-Gun's managing to deal with those efficiently, though. And right now, this is Ubivator's game to lose. He is in a very, very strong position. That early game harass completely contained Autopilot. And because of that, Ubivator has been able to just steamroll this game so far. Now, both these players are, you know, very, very good players. Autopilot is one of the top players in bars 1v1s at the moment, so it's not like he is, you know, a new contender or anything like that. He's currently number 2 in the leaderboard, with Ubivator number 7. So we're not talking about, you know, new players here. These guys know what they're doing, and Ubivator's had a great game so far, and it's definitely showing when you look at the minimap. Now finally a Tech 2 transition comes into play. Ubivator going Tech 2 Armada bots, and we can see his queue here is definitely an interesting one. He's going for a Butler, Advanced Tech 2 bot, which has already got a Spy bot, some Hounds, Radar Jammer, Radar bot. This is to complement the Hounds. The Welder to kind of field maybe in front of the Hounds a little bit. The most weird things is these 2 amphibious rolling bombs. Can't say you see that very often against land units. And Autopilot kind of amassing a bit of an army now on this southern side. Actually with a decent sized army on the north as well. And this is the dangers of Tech 2 transitioning. As soon as you transition to Tech 2, basically all your unit production stops. And you give your opponent a little bit of breathing room. Not only that, but Autopilot obviously had the 2k of metal just sat outside of his base. And that has clearly been invested into just units. And we actually see something a little bit worrying for Ubivator's comm here, as a group of units on this southern side start to make their way around, clearing out some metal extractors. And with only LLTs to defend on that southern side, he definitely wants to be careful. Now, Tech 2 is finally out and about for Ubivator, and it will be just a moment that Autopilot will receive the notification, Tech 2 unit spotted, and now he needs to make that decision. Because by pushing very heavily like he is right now, he's not giving himself much of an army to hold off any attacks. We can see him transitioning himself here to Tech 2 in the corner. And this is a little bit dangerous. With no units to defend and to transition to Tech 2 at the same time, he is going to be very, very much down on army value. for a significant amount of time. Well, not army value, just in general units to defend. So we'll see how that plays out. The factory here was idle for quite a while. As you can see, 4k worth of metal now stored by Ubivator. And that number is actually just going up because of all of the reclaim now on this bottom side. 1.23k. Tech 2 bots are assembling on the north. Trying to just wipe out the res bots that are left. So, what can Ubivator do right now? Well, not Ubivator. What can Autopilot do? Well, this is tough. He knows his opponent's already at Tech 2, which means he is falling behind massively. He has decided here to start a transition to Tech 2, and he's actually chose vehicles over bots. Bear in mind he has both engineers, so he could have chose either. Now, this means he's not going to have the EMP bots that we've seen quite widely used. But he is going to have starlights. Now, he needs to have the energy in order to use the starlights. But if he does, they are going to outrange anything that Ubivator can throw at him. So, the question is, how long is it going to take them, though, to get a decent force up? We can already see there are 12 hounds. Make that, you know, more than that. 15 hounds. Starting to amass on the side here. The spy bot actually gets taken out by that pop-up turret. Unfortunately, the aiming of these hounds isn't terrific. But this is going to stop. Are these manually fired? They are manually fired. That explains a lot. This is going to start becoming a problem for Autopilot. A spy bot actually positioned on the south side here, ready to EMP these two LLTs here, meaning this push along the bottom can go in very easily. Radar jamming bot also there. Not really radar jamming anything. So I'm surprised that he doesn't actually use the EMP bot there. Hound's doing a good job at harass. EMPing the very first bull to come out here. And Autopilot in deep, deep trouble. Tries to get a bit of a flank on, but ends up kind of just taking more damage himself than what he would have if he didn't flank. And the same again on this north side. His army now cut in two, and the rolling bombs do actually come in and manage to take out two stouts. They did kind of chain react a little bit there, but unfortunately that did not go well for Autopilot whatsoever. This hound army though has no scouts, which means it is not really fighting at its most effective thing here. We do see air scouts fly over there to attempt to give some range to the hounds, but a little bit of a mistake. Could do with, he does have a radar. That's kind of what they're shooting at, but obviously they shoot a lot more accurate if they can see the target. And if we quickly switch over to the base, look at the difference in these bases. Fusion reactors up and a nuke being built. Where does he need a nuke? No. He doesn't need a nuke to finish this game. But that's clearly his plan. Ubivator completely containing Autopilot now. Autopilot not with any way to break out of this. He is constantly on the defensive and only on the defensive. EMP bot fails to go off here on the north side of the crack. And unfortunately, Autopilot still fighting with a mostly Tech 1 army. And this is starting to cause him some problems. He does have some Tech 2, but mostly Jaguars, because that's all he can afford really to get out right now. He's trying to keep this EMP bot here as well, A, to provide vision, and B, to walk in and see if he can find a anti-nuke. A little bit of a pushback here with the Jaguars, not really enough to cause Ubivator any problems. Same with this north side here. More crawling bombs. Now the Bulls will do a lot of damage and will tank a significant amount from these hounds. I believe they have more speed. 65 as opposed to 69. No, the hounds are technically faster. Also, a bit of an issue here as a small army of hounds move in along the north side of Autopilot's base. Autopilot cannot leave his base, having to invest in Tech 2 point defenses in an attempt to try and stave off the inevitable. But unfortunately for him, EMP bots causing more and more problems as a Bull gets trapped and so does a Stout and a Jaguar. What Ubivator could probably do with is some res bots here. Not necessary to res, but to heal this army. Pop-up defenses will not get built into anywhere near in time here, and that's going to be a Tech 2 constructor, the console, and the 2 Tech 1s going down, as well as a big hit to the economy of Autopilot if he goes in, which it looks like he's not. He's quite happy to just kind of sit and wait. He really wants to nuke him by the looks of it, and we are about to see that nuke as well. Do we have any scouts though? No scouts as of yet. No air scouts. His air factory's been completely reclaimed. Why are you randomly drawing? And here we go. Nuke away. And Autopilot instantly resigns as he hears nuclear launch detected. Autopilot knows that that's the end. And unfortunately, we don't get to see the beautiful nuclear explosion. But thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. Just proves that if you contain your opponent early in a 1v1, you can really steamroll if you can continue that momentum. And Ubivator, a prime example of that today. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.